grass and get some training sessions in this week, Lee?
Yeah, no, really good. Obviously limited what we could do today just because the game's tomorrow, but it was a good opportunity for us to get out just to do a little bit of work, show a couple of things, nothing crazy. We obviously have a full training week next week, so I think it's about making sure when you have a tough week like this that physically the guys are in the best shape possible going into the game tomorrow. So it was nice for us to jump on the grass, have a session, and be ready for tomorrow.
And I think you said a couple of times now that in the short period that you've had, you've just tried to get small bits of information across because actually what the side were doing at the time you came in was decent. You've got a good squad, you've got good players. You're just trying to get little bits of information into them. And that's presumably ongoing, but will become a lot easier when you get that full week of training?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think the video work that we've been doing has been really key. I think in being able to drip feed in a couple of them small pieces of information. So yeah, nothing drastic, no major overhaul. I think it's just some tweaks and adaptations in and out of possession for ultimately how we see the game and kind of the principles we work off. So yeah, we've been doing a bit of that. I think obviously next week it would be nice to take what we're showing in the video into sessions on the grass so that players can relate to it and feel it whilst playing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to firstly the game tomorrow, but also obviously the opportunity to work on the grass next week.
You must be delighted with what you've seen so far. Certainly the Sunderland game very close, and then midweek against Charlton there was some hugely positive things. I think the fans, us in the media, and presumably yourself and the players came away just feeling very positive about everything.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it all starts, I think, with the players in terms of attitude and application. And I think when you see the last two games, I have to highlight the fact that it's been terrific. I think we've competed, we've worked hard, we've shown real bravery to get on the ball and play. I think there's been some real highs in terms of them aspects, and then yeah, there's some real quality within the group. And when I talk about quality, I don't just mean in terms of attacking areas. I mean in terms of leadership. I mean some of the people we have in the group are real good in terms of they work really hard, show high levels of respect. So I think there's some really good characters in the group, and there's some real good quality. So yeah, I think you've seen that in the last two games. I think it's now being realistic to go again. It's a real big challenge, a real big ask. We have to make sure that we're ready, we're focused, and that we push hard to go again. The challenge in this league is obviously sustaining a real high level of performance. So off the back of two good performances and one win, we need to make sure that we take that into the game tomorrow.
I just wonder for you how important it is to take some of the players' ideas on board as well, because I think what we're potentially seeing since you've been in charge, as opposed to the previous regime, is a little bit more flexibility during play. And I just wonder how many of their ideas you're taking on board then.
Yeah, I think I have to say again, they've been terrific. I think in a lot of the video work we've done, we've tried to pull out as much information from them as the work they've done previously, so we can kind of get up to speed and make them them slight tweaks that we spoke about. So the players have been fantastic in they've been really engaged, they've been really open, they've really put forward their ideas. So that just allows us, as a team, and when I say team, I mean the staff and the players, just to kind of accelerate that transition, so we get to a place quicker where we understand where they're at. They kind of know what we're looking for, and we can get into a place where everyone's kind of aligned and clear on what it looks like. So I think that they've been really good on that front. I also think you talk about the fluidity. I think it's really important. We're able to get players into positions where they can showcase their strengths, but also that where there's elements of freedom to be brave and try things. I think as long as they have the the guidelines, the framework, and the parameters with it, of what to work in, I think there's that they have to have that scope in terms of, like I say, the freedom to express themselves.
Yeah, I think they felt that maybe that was missing in the past. Just catching up on injuries, we haven't talked about David Kasumu recently. How's he coming along? I mean, I know it's a long-term thing, but we just wanted to catch up on David.
Yeah, no, I've been conscious. I made sure I've sat with David a couple of times to chat with him, and again, I think the danger sometimes when you got a player in a slightly longer injury like himself, that especially with a transition at the club, that they can feel a little bit isolated and not part of the group, or not part of not spend a huge amount of time amongst the football staff. So really important. I've sat with him, I've had conversations with him to make sure he's okay where he's at, what his plan is, etc. So he's heading in the right direction. I see him regularly working hard in the gym. He sticks his head in my office to say hello, and we have a quick chat every now and then. So he's heading in the right direction. I think when we get him back, and I think it's most important, with a young player like him, that we get him back when he's ready, and we don't rush him and force him. I think we need to get him back and make sure he's fit for the long term. So we'll work hard to get him back and introduce him when he's ready.
And I'm sure you're aware of the player that you've got waiting in the wings there. Certainly a player that's come through the ranks and, year on year has got better. In fact, last season, month on month, I think he got better as well. A real boost when he is fit to have a player like that coming back into contention.
No, definitely. I've been watching video, as much video as I can of the guys, and I think, he's a really exciting talent. I think again, it's that challenge of turning the talent and the potential into performances, which over the previous few months, years, he started to do. So again, I think it's going to be a real big boost and addition. I think we also have to be realistic when you've missed sort of 6-8 weeks. It'll take a little bit of time for him to get back up to speed. So again, I think how we manage him back into the group and back into the team, I think, is also an important one. So it'll be a big boost for him and for the team and for us when he gets back.
Liam, I wonder if you could just explain. You've talked a little bit, I know, with my colleague Toby and James as well, about the role of head coach and manager and the difference between, and we've seen this all over the country. When it comes to transfers, when it comes to players coming in and out, do you have a say in that? Are you part of that process, or is it decided above you? I wanted to know what that situation was, because obviously the transfer window is still open and there could potentially be some movement.
Yeah, no, it's a complete collaboration between myself and Liam Sweeting. So I think I think what the model is and how it works and how it makes perfect sense, and especially with Liam and his background in recruitment and analysis, I think what it allows us to do is focus a large amount of time on my team and developing the team and the players. Liam does obviously a huge amount of research and background work on potential targets, and then we sit together and basically go through the players that have been highlighted. So if I've had some players brought to me, if I've people in mind, or he has people that he's been looking at as well, we sit down as a group and basically go, right, what's best for now and what's best for the long term for the club. So again, I think it's that having that two-pronged approach and making sure that we'll work for the best of the club long term. I think it's really important. I think that's what this model allows you to do. It takes away a little bit of that short-term influence of a manager, for example, going, this is what I want, as opposed to going, right, this is what the team needs and this is what the club needs and this is what's going to set the club up for the long term. And I think that for me, I think the model makes perfect sense, and I have a really, really good relationship with Liam, which again I think will help us find and identify and then recruit the best people available.
It's been a baptism of fire to a certain extent. Sunderland, Charlton, Ipswich, and that's your next test, Ipswich away. These are all sides that one would imagine are sides that are going to be fighting at the upper end of the table. From Tuesday night with MK Dons.
Yeah, 3 huge clubs. Nice easy week to start off for me. So yeah, no, 3 huge clubs. Again, obviously, some are investing quite a lot in terms of in their recruitment and obviously having an extreme push to get promoted. But again, I think it comes back to us concentrating on what we can control. I think like I say, I've been delighted with the guys this week. We know it's going to be an extremely difficult game tomorrow. I think it's making sure, like I said, we can control what we can. So making the preparation we've had this week's been extremely good. Obviously, off the back of a win, the video work, the unit work that we've been able to do off the back of that, and then it's making sure that the players take the confidence and the belief from the game on Tuesday into the game tomorrow. So for me, it's the same whether it's Ipswich, whether it's Accrington. It's the actual way you work to get prepared for that game and how you apply yourself in that game doesn't change. So we'll be going into it obviously off the back of a good performance and result on Tuesday, and yeah, hopefully we can continue that momentum into the game.
Just one more from me, unless Ant says that we're speaking to somebody else, but I believe we're speaking to Scott Twine shortly as well. And just interesting how you set the side up with the 2 up front with Parrott and Isa, and then Twine just a little further back. He's got a really pivotal role there, hasn't he, Scott Twine? And so far we've seen great things from him. He looks like a very exciting young player. Yeah,
no, very much so. I have to say the front 3, I think, in the 2 games have looked a real handful. I think when you look at it, especially even second half Sunderland, we created some really good chances, and Twiney, to be fair, was pivotal in them chances being created. I think he finds pockets of space really well, and then he looks to play in Mo and Troy. So there's a real nice blend and balance between him finding space to ultimately play them through. So I think there's a real strong relationship that we can work on there. I think with the front guys and ultimately the guys as well that come in. I think we've got depth as well when I look at the bench in terms of attacking players that can come on and have an impact. So I think it's a case of finding the right blend and balance to hurt the opposition behind as well as in between the lines.
Thanks very much.
Perfect, thank you.
We've spoken an awful lot about about your front line and its potency, but one man who we've not actually seen yet this season is Max Watters. What's the latest with him, and is he any closer to making his proper debut for Dons?
Yeah, Max is again heading in the right direction. Again, he's one I sat with this week. He's back actually on the treadmill, the OG treadmill, so he's progressing nicely. Again, one that I've sat with, spoken to, so he's not too far away. I think again another one that's missed a few weeks. Again, introducing at the correct time and in the correct way is really important to make sure that when he comes back we don't rush him and he's right and ready as well.
It's a serious player to bring back as well, isn't it? We just mentioned what it would be like to have David Kasuma back, but having a player of his ability to add to your front line is going to give you some exciting headaches to come.
No, definitely, and that's what's really important. I think when you play the volume of games we do in a season, I think you need that depth, and I think what he also brings is a slightly different dimension to the other guys. So again, I think what that allows us to do is then be slightly adaptable, flexible, and make changes either before or during games that can ultimately have an impact on the way we play, but also the result hopefully. So like you say, it's a really good headache to have. I think what we can do is then ultimately challenge the guys to push each other. I think that's really important. That team first is always something that we speak around. I think prioritising the team and then the guys pushing each other to make sure they get the best out of each other is also key for players to perform into their highest level.
You mentioned on Tuesday night that Daniel Harvey had taken a little bit of a bump to the head, which made him come off at half time. How's he doing?
Yeah, he's obviously following the concussion protocol, so he's not available tomorrow. But ultimately he feels okay, which is most important. So yeah, obviously disappointment to lose him, but ultimately we have to make sure that we look after him and prioritise his health.
You mentioned a baptism of fire coming into this week. You've obviously got a special place for Ipswich, given that that's where you started your career.
Yeah, very, very good memories. I spent a lot of time there, I think, as an academy player, 13 to 20, and then I think I came back to start coaching at 21, 22, and spent, the best part of maybe the next 8-9 years coaching there. So, yeah, huge history with the club. Still in contact with a few people there. Obviously, we'll be extremely grateful for the club, the opportunities they provided me, the education they gave me. Some of the people I met there, obviously Chris and David, as you know, have history with the club as well. So, yeah, fond memories, but ultimately be going there to get the win, to perform. That's the game, right? That's what we want to do tomorrow. Make sure that we come away with 3 points.
Cheers, Liam. Thanks a lot.
No problem.
Yeah, and obviously you've got quite a young squad overall, but you have a really strong veteran in Dean Lewington that came on at half-time against Charlton, and he put in what I thought was a phenomenal performance, really put himself on the line there. Does he present you with a bit of a selection dilemma for tomorrow's game?
Yeah, well, not much of a dilemma. I think he did extremely well the other night in terms of, to push himself to get in the team. So I think it's you say a dilemma. I think it's a nice position to be in. Having someone of his experience, his caliber, and the personality and the respect he has within the group. To be able to lean on him and use him, I think is a huge asset for me for the team. So he's done really well. Really pleased with the impact he had in the second half the other night. I thought he what you don't see sometimes with someone like Dean is the impact he has on the players around him. And I think that was key in terms of us getting control of the second half the other night. I think when we are a relatively young group, his talking, his leadership, how he impacts on other players, puts them in the correct positions, guides them, feeds back to them, I think is huge for us and our group. So I was really, really pleased with him for the second half the other night, and he's someone that's going to play an important part for us.
From the oldest player on the team to one of the youngest, Matt O'Reilly, whenever Dean Lewington's not on the pitch, seems to be wearing the captain's armband in a really great way this year. How impressed have you been with someone so young, being able to lead this team in Lewington's absence.
Yeah, Matt's done a really good job as well. He's he's got some really interesting attributes. I think he's got huge potential. If you look at it in terms of what I like about him, is extremely stable emotionally. He doesn't get too high or too low. So when the team's doing really well or when the team's struggling, he's very consistent, which again I think is good signs of a leader. I think he's also willing to take responsibility in all areas. He doesn't shy away from getting the ball or anything like that. So again, I think he's got some like I say, some real potential leadership qualities. So again, I think he's one to for us to keep pushing and challenging on that front, because he can have a real good impact on the group.